You guys forget the steam? Guys, when's the last time I had steam? I feel like I have like a fog machine or something. What am I, at a rave? What's going on, everybody? Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Is that level too high? A little good? Okay, I think we're good. What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Thank you very much for being here. Tuesday, December 23rd. Lakers back in action tonight, taking on the Phoenix Suns. Looking forward to watching some NBA basketball. Look at this steam coming up here. It's a little bit too much. I gotta be honest with you. Why don't you put a cap on your tea, Sliwa? Kind of a show do you have here? Thank you very much for hanging out. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Packed show today. Got a lot going on. Just good vibes today. Already one full cup. I'm talking about a full cup of coffee today. That's already in the books there. We don't got anything to worry about after that. All right, I'm going to give everyone a quick rundown what we got going on for the show. Tonight, we'll be doing a post-game show as well. So, obviously, be tuned in all day today, and we'll get you kind of caught up, not just on this show, but also tonight when the Lakers take on the Phoenix Suns. So, today will be a busy day. Some people finished their Christmas shopping, I don't know, a month ago. Me, I have a couple more little things to do. Why not wait till the last second? All right, let me give everyone a quick rundown what we got going on for the show today. I'll take a look at everybody's comments before we get started. So we'll obviously get to everybody's thoughts here before the show gets underway. So looking forward to that. Let me give everyone a quick rundown what we're doing today. So today, we are going to update everybody in regards to some of the injuries. Last night, I think I mentioned it yesterday, we always get an injury report that just gives kind of the latest here in regards to what the injuries look like and what players are going to be playing, what players aren't going to be playing. That's a kind of a big storyline for the Lakers. It's been a big storyline for the Lakers pretty much all season long, and that doesn't really change today. A lot of this game is probably going to be predicated on who plays and who doesn't play. So we'll get into that. Lakers taking on the Phoenix Suns. Fun matchup. So far, these two teams have played twice this year. Both of those games were very entertaining. Maybe not the first one where the Lakers got their asses kicked at home against the Phoenix Suns, but certainly the second game where the Lakers were up 20 and then almost found a way to blow that lead, but ended up winning by 2. Good storylines. Mark Williams, DeAndre Ayton. Everybody's got some history here. Dillon Brooks and LeBron James I'll spend a little bit of time on. I like some of these matchups. You know, they're entertaining. I thought the last matchup the Lakers had against the Phoenix Suns left some phenomenal storylines. So maybe we get some of that in tonight's game. We'll hit on that matchup coming up. We'll hit on Dillon Brooks and LeBron and just those two. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. LeBron's a legend. Dillon Brooks is kind of puts his way into the mix, and I don't mind it. I think it's entertaining. I think it's fun. I think it adds to regular season basketball. If they face each other in the playoffs, it'd be even funner. Guest today, Dave McMenamin. I'm pretty sure. I'll get hopefully some confirmation here, but looks like Dave probably join us in about 10 minutes, about 8:15-ish or so. We'll try to get Dave on. There was an article out there that I thought was interesting. There was an article basically that LeBron, Luka, and AR cannot win an NBA championship, which if I'm going to be honest with you, I don't completely disagree with. I think most people are looking at the future for the Lakers, and they're saying that, hey, can AR, Luka, and some other form of a team or another kind of top-notch player, can they compete for a championship? But in this article that we're going to get to, Tom Harbstraw, if I pronounced that correctly, part of Yahoo Sports, but also does his own Substacks, basically saying that the Lakers should go out and get Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, and trade Austin Reaves over to the Pelicans. They get 2 6'7", 6'8" wing guys that can play with Luka, could play with LeBron and some of these other players. So we'll get into that. That's its own conversation. But I think just the conversation in itself of, hey, can those three win a chip together? I don't think too many people are signing up for that. Some different Laker trade target names being thrown around. We've heard the Keon Ellis. We've heard the Herb Jones. Those names have been coming up for a while now. I got some new names that we could talk about. Dave Dan Weike did an article in The Athletic that mentioned a couple of different players. Some NBA news out there, some phenomenal matchups tonight. You guys look at the games tonight. You guys look at what we got going on in the league tonight, in the association tonight. Well, I'll give you a quick heads up. Knicks at the Timberwolves, Thunder at the Spurs. So if the Laker game's not going as planned, or you want to see some other NBA games, you're going to have some options here. Some really good matchups. I think that Knicks-Timberwolves game will be fun, and then obviously kind of a rematch of that semifinals of the NBA Cup, Thunder and the Spurs. So we'll get a chance to see both of those games. A couple other NBA stories that will be out there as well. They're trying to create a new format for preventing teams from tanking. Draymond Green leaves the game in the third quarter because he's mad at Steve Kerr, goes to the locker room, and then the Golden State Warriors come back and win. All right, those will be some of the NBA stories that we got going on. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. Shout out to everybody that has been a member, an MVP member. I got to figure out this week. This week's a little complicated, but I'll try to get something specific out for members. Thank you for being a member. Shout out to all the subscribers. 35,000 or 34,000 subscribers. Next number is 35,000. So thank you all for being here. Let's take a look at a couple of the comments, and then we'll get started here. Let's see what we got here. I was watching Herb Jones. There's no way I'm trading Reaves for him. They can have a first round pick and expirings. That's it, maybe. Immediately, I have said the same. Move AR in the Pels trade and get both of those athletic wings. Okay, let's keep going here. Actually, Slee, I've been saying that for a while now. All right, well, you write for Yahoo Sports and have your own Substack, and I'll pay more attention to it. By the way, I don't think that's going to happen at all. Let's keep going here. Some people going at Jake LaRavia. One person says Jake LaRavia is nice, build confidence, this and that. The other guy says LaRavia is ass. All right, that's good. I'll let you guys kind of fight that one out. All right, let's get the show started. Thank you again for being here. Appreciate you guys hanging out. And I know you guys got a lot of different places that you can be to get some morning content. I appreciate that you guys choose this channel. All right, let's get started here. Some injury updates on where the Lakers are sitting right now, some of the different players that are available, some of them that are not available for tonight's game. So McMenamin put something out yesterday. Very simply put, the players that are available and the players that are not available. Luka Doncic, calf contusion, out versus the Suns on Tuesday. All right, he's been ruled out for Tuesday's game against the Suns, left calf contusion. We got that news yesterday. Obviously, we know that he was kneed in his left calf by Bogdan Bogdanovic. Didn't play after halftime, so no real surprise here that Luka's not going to be playing against the Phoenix Suns. The other question is going to be, does he go on Christmas? Does he play against the Houston Rockets? Is he still going to be out? So I know that the Lakers are going to do everything they can to try to protect Luka. They're going to think about the big picture. And if that means missing a couple of days, when did the Lakers play? They played Saturday. They don't play again till Thursday, which is Christmas. So he can get about 4 or 5 days off in between. Luka, no go tonight. All right. Couple other updates as far as tonight's game. Austin Reaves has missed the past 3 games with that mild left calf strain. He was a limited participant in practice and is also day-to-day moving forward. So he was listed as questionable for tonight's game, so maybe there's a chance that he goes. To be honest with you, I think this is all going to come down to Reaves. If Reaves plays tonight, Lakers got a chance against the Phoenix Suns. If he doesn't play tonight, I don't really like the Lakers' chances against the Phoenix Suns. We'll see what happens. Anything can happen, but to be missing both of those guys, kind of your complete horsepower when it comes to the Lakers' engine on the offensive side of things. You can put it all on LeBron's shoulders if you'd like, but if you're going to put it on LeBron's shoulders, you need 5-6 guys that are going to need to contribute if they got a shot against the Phoenix Suns. So the Reaves piece of this, he's listed for questionable. We know Rui Hachimura is out. We know Gabe Vincent is out. The good news for the Lakers, the one player that is a go for tonight, wasn't even on the on the injury report is DeAndre Ayton. So we know Ayton's going tonight. So again, to give everybody just a quick idea from a health perspective, Luka's out, Rui's out, Gabe is out, DeAndre Ayton is back, and Austin Reaves is questionable. So that's what you got for tonight's game against the Phoenix Suns. The matchup's been good. It's been very entertaining versus this team, but you need your guys. And I think they got one player that's doubtful. I think Grayson Allen is doubtful for them. So just to kind of keep in mind in regards to what Phoenix doesn't have versus what the Lakers don't have. Jalen Green hasn't played, hasn't been around for them, so he's still going to be out. But that just gives you kind of a full idea here from a health perspective. Okay, let's just kind of pay attention real quick to the matchup and why this has been such an entertaining matchup so far for both of these teams and why this has kind of been fun to watch. All right, I can explain that pretty easily here. There's good storylines here. And two games that the Lakers and the Suns have played against each other so far, what I've liked about both of the games is one of two things you could kind of keep in mind. One of the things that you can keep in mind is, all right, well, they're both 1-1. They both went up against each other. We walked away from both of these games where either the Lakers got punched and really never recovered against the Phoenix Suns at home, or they were blowing out the Phoenix Suns. They're up 20 at one point. If you guys remember, this was just about a week ago or so. And Marcus Smart decides to throw a turnover. Lakers start to play prevent defense instead of trying to win the game. They're just trying to, run the clock. Phoenix comes all the way back. Phoenix actually comes back and takes a 1-point lead. Dillon Brooks decides to get a technical foul. That didn't hurt them. LeBron misses the technical. And then Devin Booker eventually fouls LeBron on a 3 with a few seconds left to go. Lakers win that game. This matchup is fun, too, because there's a little bit of chatter. I don't know why the two teams don't like each other, but there's a little bit of the vibe like, yeah, I don't really care for you. Yeah, I don't really care for you. I like the fact that there's the storylines of Mark Williams gets traded from the Charlotte Hornets to the Lakers, and then the Lakers decide, nope, this guy's not healthy enough. Certainly they hurt his value around the league and around the NBA. I'm sure Mark Williams is not exactly the biggest fan of the Lakers. DeAndre Ayton remembers his time with the Phoenix Suns. He's the starting center in the NBA Finals for the Phoenix Suns. They lose to the Bucks. Eventually, he gets traded to the Portland Trailblazers, and now he's kind of trying to still, even at this point, trying to figure out the rest of his career and trying to make sure that he's got a tremendous amount of value in the league. And, obviously he's trying to rebuild some of that value, in LA with the Lakers at this kind of buyout contract that he had with Portland. I like these storylines. I think these storylines are fun. I think they add obviously to the mix. And I'm not, trying to sit here and preview an NBA Western Conference Finals preview. That's not what I'm trying to sell you. But what I would say is the matchup has been entertaining between these two teams. It actually has. And I would not have thought when the season started that I was looking forward to a Lakers-Suns game on December 23rd, but both of these games have been entertaining. Certainly the last one as well. And then if you want to kind of add another wrinkle to this that I haven't even mentioned yet, I mentioned some of the other players and everything else. Dillon Brooks, whether you like him or not, he's an entertaining player to watch. Part of it is because you're always kind of wondering what he's going to do, but his kind of the way he tries to get under the skin of LeBron, which doesn't exactly work. I feel like Dillon Brooks almost hurts himself in most of these situations. Let's use that last game as an example where he gets his second technical foul late in the game after Phoenix takes a lead and he can't be there for the last few seconds of the game. But that storyline is fun, and that storyline didn't start yesterday. Obviously, that history with Memphis, a little bit with Houston, and now with the Phoenix Suns. So with the matchup not being this, if you look at tonight, I was mentioning in tonight's games, you got Oklahoma City versus the San Antonio Spurs, number 1 versus number 2 in the Western Conference. That's not what this matchup is. It's not the two best teams in the Western Conference, but it still is obviously wildly entertaining. So I'm looking forward to the game, but it gives you an idea of who's available and who's not available. Okay. We'll take a look at some of the comments here in just a little bit. As mentioned, want to welcome in our guest of the show, nice enough to make some time here. Dave McMenamin with ESPN. Let's get Dave popped up here. What's going on, Dave?
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good, man. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good. Just going through some emails and taking care of some stuff. We got the game in, I don't know, what, 10 hours or so?
Isn't that funny? We the way you put it there, the 10 hours. It's like people are just those that are just kind of hanging out and get to enjoy the game and nothing. By the way, I don't think either one of us will ever complain about covering NBA
Right.
basketball. But I like we're 10 hours away. So you've already kind of clocked in when coach is talking. You've clocked in everything
Yeah,
else.
yeah, yeah. It's Christmas is a big week for the NBA,
Yeah.
and so it makes a big week for ESPN too. So, a lot of extra features and stuff coming up down the pike over the next couple days, which are always fun stories to tell. But it's other stuff you gotta take care of outside of the window of let's talk to JJ, let's talk to Jordan Knott, and let's cover the action.
Well, I'll hit on this because I was just hitting on it. I don't know how you felt in these first two matchups. I didn't think coming into the season, and not to say that there aren't some storylines between the Lakers and the Suns before the season started, but I found these two games so far that they've played against Phoenix kind of wildly entertaining. Now, I know one game was a little bit more lopsided. You thought the second game was going to be lopsided. If we're just looking at the game tonight, I get it. Injuries are going to take away from some of the allure of this game just because Luka's not there. A couple other, Laker players as well. We'll see what happens with Austin Reaves. What have you made of the matchup between these two teams so far?
It's funny, you go back to the preseason, the first meeting that both these teams had were with one another out in Palm Springs. I remember being at shoot around, staying for Sun shoot around and asking Devin Booker, what I thought at the time was a pretty innocuous question about DeAndre Ayton, just as a former teammate of his. And I think I asked something along the lines of someone who got to the mountaintop, knocked on the door of a championship alongside him. What do you think Ayton could bring to the Lakers? And Booker basically said, I don't know, he's not my teammate anymore, which was like, oh, okay, there's some tension there. And it's only extended over. You add in the wrinkle of obviously what you were mentioning, Dillon Brooks and LeBron. You add in the fact that Jordan Knott knows this team a little bit, and so he can strategize to some degree and try to exploit the weaknesses that he sees in some of the roster that he had coached. Yeah, it would be a pretty fun playoff series. Like it's a very possible 4-5. And before the season, I believe in Jordan Knott, and I got to know him when he was a Lakers assistant, and so I wasn't writing them off for dead, but I thought they'd be more of like, okay, a play-in team than a team that looks pretty viable in the Western Conference.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, it's such a good point. And it's such what a difficult task to take. If I told you 6 months ago, what's the culture of the Phoenix Suns? You're not probably going to say anything too positive. You're probably not going to have really, what is their identity? I don't know what their identity was with Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, and Devin Booker. For him that's impressive to just kind of, and I think what I mean by that more than anything else, feel like they kind of set a foundation. I'm not saying they're going to go represent the West, and I can't really predict what the Suns are over the next couple of years, but that's pretty damn impressive to kind of change at least the taste in your mouth about that franchise in such a short period of time.
And listen, they've done it with Jalen Green barely playing. They've done it, who was, supposedly the linchpin in the deal, like the biggest piece they're getting back from Houston. They've done it with Kaman Malawak out of Duke barely playing, their lottery pick. They've done it with Devin Booker missing some time. Colin Gillespie has turned into a legitimate starting point guard, which is pretty impressive. And then you see a guy like Mark Williams, a guy that the Lakers had on their team and decided, you know what, we don't want him on our team. He's been effective for them. And I think Brooks and Ott, though, are the two new faces that should deserve all the credit. And I think Ott's a brilliant coach, and I think Brooks, he's more than entertaining. He is someone who brings an edge, and a lot of teams could benefit from someone like him.
Yeah, I'll stay on Dillon Brooks for a second because I think I've said this before, and whether Laker fans love the guy, hate the guy, every team I think would love to have Dillon Brooks on their team. I mean, the guy obviously brings something that edge that I think a lot of teams look for. What are some areas? I think he hurts himself sometimes. I think those emotions, and I'll use, I don't know, think of players that played in the league. If I use Draymond Green, it's like, yeah, I'd love to have Draymond Green in his prime on any team. And then there are areas of Draymond Green where, you say to yourself, Draymond's hurting himself or he's hurting the team, hypothetically. What is the Dillon Brooks kind of LeBron thing that it feels like Dillon Brooks has created? When you watch those two go against each other and when you try to see Dillon Brooks get under the skin of really the wrong guy, I mean, there's plenty of other guys you want to probably try to get under the skin of. What is it that Dillon Brooks that you love about his game? What are areas that he can be even better if he takes this away or takes that away?
Listen, there are some broadcasters who have, and I'm not going to name names, but I think any of your listeners or viewers know who I'm referring to, will use LeBron James's name in order to get attention, right? And I think Brooks has accomplished getting his name more well known by repeatedly testing LeBron. If that was his goal, he accomplished it. In terms of actually getting under LeBron's skin and having it affect LeBron's team in a negative way, it's just the opposite. If anything, LeBron's played in 1,500 regular season games over 23 seasons. Sometimes he's barely motivated, quite frankly, in a regular season game to give his all. Dillon Brooks shows up, and all of a sudden you get a better version of LeBron. And so he certainly hurts the Suns in that respect. But where he helps them is he is not giving up on plays. He's a very good perimeter defender. He's a reliable three-point shooter. He has a mid-range post-up game. He can pass a little bit out of that position. And seemingly his antics, while, I have never covered a Dillon Brooks team night in, night out, so I can't say this with certainty, but seemingly his teammates respond to him in a positive way. It's not like an eye roll situation. It's this kind of gets us, our juices flowing a little bit. And so it's, I think he deserves some, kind of some consideration for most improved player this year. His all career numbers across the board and making the Suns competitive in a crowded West.
Dave, I'm curious to get your thoughts. 30 days ago or whenever it was when LeBron made his return and comes back on the floor, watch the first few games. And I think there were a lot of people pointing out, like, you got to give this guy a second. The guy hasn't had a training camp. He hasn't had a preseason. But you started hearing people say, and look, we're watching as well. He had some games where I think it's very fair for people to say, guys, maybe this is, maybe that steep decline is coming and that's what happens in people's career. And I heard a lot of different people saying that's the worst game I've ever seen LeBron play, pointing out kind of some of those early games. Here we are now sitting December 23rd. You kind of start looking at his stats over these last 5-6 games. He's just kind of starting to look more like LeBron again. What have you made from how he started to where he's sitting today? And are you maybe surprised is not the right way to put it because Bron has done whatever he's done over the years. And if you thought he was going to slow down, and he certainly has, but this is his 23rd season in the NBA. The guy's about to turn 41. What do you make of where he's at today?
Yeah, I mean, certainly not what he was those first 5 games or so. And I think the stats have certainly improved. The engagement's improved. I'd still think, though, a game like the Philly game where he was just tremendous and you could have erased the last 2 numbers on the date and penciled in 2012 instead of 2025, and I'd believe you. That's what the performance was from. I don't think we're going to see that on a very consistent basis still. And where he will be able to, and of course, he'll still do it. There'll be a handful, 10, 20 more games like that where he looks like his own self. But that's a resource that is diminishing. Where he can really help this team is talking on defense and putting guys in the place they need to be. Vice versa on offense. JJ Redick in the last week has started to implement a wrinkle to their defense in order to try to make them more dynamic in the playoffs. And they're doing more off-ball action with both LeBron and Luka. And certainly there's no scheme or strategy that LeBron doesn't fully comprehend and isn't able to implement. And so he can help them there. He's got to start making threes if he's going to be the type of player that can help them win a championship this year. The ball is going to continue to be in Austin's hands and Luka's hands primarily. And if LeBron isn't a consistent off-ball threat from three, then teams are going to sag, take away driving lanes. And if there's no driving lanes, Luka and Austin won't get in situations where they need to be fouled. And if they're not needing to be fouled, they're not getting extra points at the foul line. They're not getting into the other team's bench by getting starters in foul trouble. There's a cascading effect. And it starts with LeBron not hitting threes. Now, I think that is a rhythm and legs thing. And so let's say this first month has been training camp and preseason for him. And I've covered his teams for 10 years plus now. And usually 3-point shooting and turnovers were problematic areas for LeBron early on in his seasons. And he kind of curtails both of them as the season goes on. Turnovers go down, threes go up. And so I think there's some hope there. But that's what I want to see. Because if he can provide that consistently, then I think this team has a chance to get to another level without needing a trade. If he can't do that, then the trade becomes that much more important.
19-8. If I'd have told you through the first, 27 games over, what do you want to call it? Maybe getting close to 30% or right around that of the season, they're 19-8. And even if I didn't give you kind of the context of it, I think the record says one thing. I would assume that that's a really good start in the Western Conference. I know the West is the way maybe we saw the West before the season started. Yes, some phenomenal teams, also some teams that we didn't expect to be as bad as they are. What do you make of the record versus what they are in the Western Conference? Just kind of looking at 11 games over 500, but then also looking at what the rest of the West looks like.
So they got their 19th win in Salt Lake City recently. And I looked at their record this season versus last season. I'm going to answer with a question to you, and then I'll go on to talk more about it. Last season, 19 wins. How many losses did they have when they got their 19th win?
Oof. 12?
Okay, you're pretty close. 14.
Okay.
So this year, 7. 19 wins, only 7 losses last year. So double the amount of losses. So, and I understand that last year's team took some time to get going. They were already starting to get going prior to the trade, and then they had that long winning streak after the trade. But still, I think that's something to not discount too much. That's because we saw where that team ended last year, 3rd in the West. We know what happened in the playoffs, but they ended as a very good regular season team. They've already begun that process a lot quicker. And when you hear things like JJ Redick saying, year 2 to year 1, there's just certain things that we do better. I'll have to give him some credit that winning is part of that equation, and that's the most important thing. Now, who have they beaten to be 19-7? Or maybe more importantly, who have they lost to? They got boat raced in Oklahoma City.
Hmm.
They played the Spurs in the equivalent of a playoff game because that's what NBA Cup games are, and they got pretty much manhandled in that game as well without Victor Wembanyama.
Sure.
Those are concerning performances. The Clippers one, I mean, it didn't look good, but I actually not too concerned. But they're down 4 starters. They go 6 for 38 from three, and there was still a 7-point game with 9 minutes to go. But that one doesn't worry me too much. But it was in particular the Spurs loss and the Oklahoma City loss. Just makes you wonder: is this just a good team, or are they potentially great? And if they are going to be great, they got to start beating some of these teams that they're going to have to get through in the playoffs. So I think Christmas Day, for instance, and Phoenix is a good start, right? Tonight, because Phoenix figures to be a playoff team. But then, Christmas Day, I think, is a really good test. It's a Houston team. I think they play the Clippers tonight, but prior to tonight, they've lost 4 out of 6. You're
Hmm.
playing them at home. Houston's a team that, a lot of hype going into the season. Okay, let's see it. Like that's the Lakers should be like, we need to win this game to establish that the pecking order has us higher than Houston in the West. Like it should be a big regular season game.
No, it's a good way to put it. It's kind of weird to see the Rockets because they end up winning at Denver, and then all of a sudden, and I remember even KD saying they had lost a couple games in a row. That game was important for them. It meant something to them. And then I think they lose their next game. I'm forgetting off the top of my
Yeah,
head who they lost to.
they,
Maybe the Pelicans. I can't
right. It
remember.
might have. Oh, they did lose a game against the Pelicans in this recent stretch. Yeah.
So but the way KD was talking about that game was it was important to them to obviously get a win. I almost kind of feel that with the Lakers now taking on the Rockets, almost a similar. No, it's not going to change everything, but I think there is a little bit of that balance. If you're Rob Pelinka and you've heard Pelinka talk about this, and I'm sure a lot of GMs and president of basketball operations kind of have a similar strategy. Give us 25, 30 games. Let me see kind of what the team is. Let me see what the needs are, the weaknesses, the strengths, and everything else. It feels like there are no secrets here. Everybody knows what the Lakers' strengths are and weaknesses. And weaknesses is they're not going to be the bad boy Pistons on the defensive side, and they're not going to be known for that. Um, how do you think Pelinka balances? Because we hear this all the time. Oh, it's really expensive to go get 3-and-D guys. How are you going to do it? What are you going to give up? What's too much? Now, Pelinka's made most of his moves at the trade deadline. What do you think the Lakers are thinking about this team and a run to where they can't compete with some of these elite teams? Because the record says one thing, but like you said, there's a little bit more context when they're playing some of the more elite teams in the West.
Yeah, I think last season it was December 30th they pulled off the Dorian Finney-Smith move, which give credit to Rob for the timing of that. Like those are rare and it's tough. And I know December 15th is technically when guys, on certain contracts can start to be traded, but it's rare to see that timing of the season to have deals accomplished. And talking to some people who are familiar with kind of the Lakers thinking right now, the Lakers are canvassing absolutely. But what I heard was that there's kind of a sense that it's a quiet market right now. Like it'd be unlikely to have a late December deal again like they did last year, and you could be looking at late January. So that 25 to 30 game sample size could be growing to 45 to 50
Mm.
thereabouts before a deal gets done. And that's going to be pretty telling. If the Lakers continue to win at the rate they're doing, then that's okay. If they don't, then I think the cost becomes harder because then you're negotiating from a area of some perceived weakness from your competitors. And listen, there is some subtext here beyond just the Lakers competing in the moment. It is, do we want to help set up a team that has this superhero ownership coming in, right? That's going to be able to outspend. And do we want to help set up the Dodgers of the NBA for the next whatever, how many years? Like, I am curious to see how that can affect deals. And I would have to think if I'm on the other end of the line and Rob Pelinka calls, that on some level, that person knows that part of Rob's kind of job now is to perform in a way that makes the new ownership group be impressed by him. And so you can make it tougher on him in that respect as well. So I again, the good thing is I don't think this team is so far off, and I think they will ultimately have the asset. Like if they decide to trade that future first rounder, and certainly trade it with limited protections, there will be a market to get an impact player. Like I absolutely believe that. I just don't think that market's going to show itself. We don't even really know who the sellers are yet. Is Dallas? I mean, a couple weeks ago, Dallas was a seller, right? Is Dallas still a seller? Like, I'm not totally sure on that.
Yeah, it's funny. I saw this. I think I'm right. I think Pelicans have won 5 in a row, and I'm not telling you that the Pelicans are all of a sudden
Right.
now, but there are some franchises out there that are probably saying to themselves, just try to get in the play-in, or they had higher expectations coming in, or they had a ton of injuries and are saying to themselves, well, if we can start turning things around, then obviously they go from there. Stay with Pelinka for a quick second. I'm as you mentioned new ownership and the way Mark Walter and their group have obviously made the Dodgers basically they're close to winning 100 games every single year. The NL West is a lock. That's kind of all you can guarantee. Now they've also, done things. It's just different to do business in Major League Baseball than it is to do business in the NBA. Um, the way they can take advantage or spend as much as they want will be in the front office or coaching or scouting. There's ways that they can, obviously kind of flex their muscle a little bit. You look at guys like Rob Pelinka and just want to kind of think here the proper way to put it. If part of the way new ownership can really take advantage of spending is having the best front office out there, you think Pelinka feels any pressure of I got new ownership. This is a different group that's in here, and the way they do business might be different than what I'm accustomed to.
I don't think that he will feel necessarily outsized amount of pressure compared to what he normally does. Quite frankly, listen, you think of the timing of the deal last year. The Lakers trade for Luka Doncic on February 1st, and it's kind of my understanding that sometime a month prior is when the Mark Walter Genie Bus conversations started about the sale. At that time, I think he felt a lot of pressure, right? You get a deal like that done, and man, like of course it's an attractive thing for you to have when your boss is in negotiations to sell the team. And you say, no, it's not just LeBron and AD, and we have the whole next era for you, right? And Luka Doncic. That time of his career, I imagine he felt a lot of pressure. Right now, with Jeannie Buss being decreed as the acting governor for the next 5 years, I don't think there's a undue amount of pressure. This will be Rob and Jeannie and JJ for the next 5 years. I don't think JJ or Rob will not be in their position over that time. That said, if I'm Luka Doncic, and before I went to Lakers, I was in the NBA Finals.
Mm-hmm.
My first year with the Lakers, I lose in the first round. A lot of factors, sure, can be forgiven. But my second year, I've now seen Shea Gilgeous-Alexander win an MVP, which I want, and win a championship, which I want, and win a Finals MVP, which I want.
Hmm.
I would be wanting my boss to give me whatever I can to be competitive in the now, and not wasting a year like this. I would be, quite frankly, kind of the pressure we've seen from someone like Giannis in Milwaukee perennially for the last 6-7 years. Where what are you doing? What are you doing to make this team better?
Hmm.
Because like, what's the point of being Luka Doncic unless you have a chance to win a championship every year?
Final one, Dave. Appreciate the time, brother. So thank you for doing this. we'll kind of tie this to Austin Reaves. I think coming into the season, some question marks about Austin Reaves, not necessarily about his play, but it was more about the fit, him and Luka. How much sustained success can they have? Reaves is having as good of a season as I think anybody could have hoped for. With that in mind, just seeing the way now kind of get an opportunity to see these guys with a larger sample size playing together. What do you make of Luka and Reaves together, and how much do you think those two can work together, not just short term but long term?
I think they're a much better fit than I think I anticipated. I didn't think they'd be a bad fit. Just there is a degree of overlapping skill set where you're just like, can they maximize one another? And I think they can. Like, I have a story coming out this week about their relationship off the court, and I think that is a real thing that helps them on the court. There's a care factor there. I think they both look at one another like a tremendous player, which I mean that helps. Like, that can help a lot because it lets you maybe live with a bad shot or two that a guy takes because you're like, well, yeah, I know that guy can make that shot, and like, okay, we got to reel it in a little bit here. Versus, man, what are you doing? You know, like just the context in which you process the other person's game. If you have a belief that guy is a killer, then you're like, okay, that is a killer, and we'll get back on track. I think that's like a big part of their success. And then just like the way they break down defenses, they are number one and number two in dribble drive points per possession in the league this year. And they are number one and number six in free throws per game. Those two things are related. And, you know, why the Lakers need to, go find another perimeter defender, because it's really hard to guard guys who have that skill set. Like the way the NBA is officiated these days, you're not allowed to hand check, and you're big and fast and strong, like someone like Luka Doncic or Austin are. It's nearly impossible to guard, and so if they continue to play this way, and when they're healthy, they will. That's how they're programmed. They're going to continue to be really effective with one another. Now it's the question of how effective can you get the guys around them to be. And I think DeAndre has improved a lot as a roller with them, in a pocket pass receiver with them in the time that he's played this year. Rui has become an effective corner 3-point shooter.
Mm-hmm.
What they need is that, I was talking about this earlier, they need the LeBron or the Gabe Vincent, or when Vando plays with them, to be another shooter around them, and then they'll continue to be lights out offensively.
Yeah, put LaRavia in that category as well.
Yeah.
You think Reaves goes tonight?
I know he was upgraded to questionable. My sense after the Clippers game, talking to some folks, was like, let's just not they were punting the Phoenix game. I'm not saying that, but like, let's look at Houston, get fully healthy for Houston, and then have that be a launching point. So I was a little surprised that he was upgraded to questionable. The way JJ termed it was, his body will tell him. And, it's one thing to go through a limited practice. It's another thing to feel confident enough that I'm going to press the go button after being out for 3-4 games with a left calf strain. And obviously a calf strain is about as serious of a injury diagnosis, because it could lead to the catastrophic one. I won't even say out loud. So I don't know. I guess I lean towards no, but that's just more like gut versus like I haven't checked with his camp yet this morning.
Great stuff, brother. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate the insight as always. So thanks for joining the show, and I know I'll see you soon.
I can see it.
Okay, thanks, Dave. All right, that's Dave McMenamin right there. All right, there you go. There you go. Got the full breakdown right there. Full breakdown from McMenamin. All right, I know there's a lot of comments here. A lot of people want to chime in. I'll get to those comments in just a little bit. But, the Reaves one for me tonight, I think will tell a lot. If Reaves is able to go, I actually feel like, all right, Lakers got a shot here. get Ayton back as well. I know Rui's not going, Gabe's not going, Luka, of course, not going. But if he's not available, it just makes it that's a challenge. And it's not like you're playing a team. Phoenix is already playing well. Phoenix already kind of wants that matchup against the Lakers. Phoenix already got that loss against the Lakers when they played them at home. So I know what was that, a week ago or so. So I know there's a little bit to that as well, in regards to a little bit extra juice for this game. But I think they got to have Reaves. I think they don't have Reaves. It's going to be a tough game. Let's just put it that way. It's going to be a tough game. All right, shout out to one of our partners here, Harris Resort, Southern California, wherever you are in SoCal. Hour and a half away, 2 hours away, hour away, just depending on where you are in Southern California. If you're looking for a staycation, you want a true beautiful getaway where you and the family or you and a couple of buddies, whatever it is, whatever scenario that you lay out for yourself, but you're like, I just want to get away from the hustle every single day in Southern California. I got a spot for you. It's Harris Resort, Southern California. They got great shows on a weekly basis. They got one of the best restaurants in Southern California, Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen. They got a beautiful resort, 1,087 luxurious rooms that are spread across Harris Resort SoCal. They got something else. I've stayed there a couple different times. They got this beautiful trail as well, like a hike that you could take when you're at Harris. It's in these rolling hills in North San Diego in an area called Valley Center. They got this hike that you can go on, literally go out and just go get some fresh air. Kind of nice sometimes when you're in these resorts and casinos, you want to get outside. You got that ability to do so. Shout out to Harris SoCal, a great partner of the channel. We're going to be doing some events there. I know I'm going to eventually do a morning show from there, and I know I'm going to eventually do a post-game show from there. We'll kind of coordinate as we get to the new year. We'll coordinate some of those dates. But thank you to Harris Resort SoCal. If you're looking to plan your next getaway, harrissocal.com. Go to that website today, and you could start planning. All right, let's take a look at some of the comments here. I got a couple articles that I want to read as well, and I want to get into, but let me try to go towards the bottom here and see a couple of these comments here. All right, let's see what we got here. If JJ cannot get it done defensively, he will not be here for 5 years. Anyone can coach him offensively. Yeah, that's interesting that was Dave's kind of position on it was, and maybe it's because Jeanie is still the governor of the Lakers. Maybe there is a little bit of, well, Pelinka's job is safe and Redick's job is safe, and that's because Jeanie is there. I don't know how much I agree with that. I think there's still going to be, and I don't think new ownership is going to make these drastic changes. I think they'll take their time. I think they'll try to be very strategic. I think that's what they've been with the Dodgers as well. I think there's a lot of other areas that they could improve within the organization and kind of slowly but surely get the foundation of the team where they want it to be. But there is a piece of me that says, yeah, I get it. If things aren't going as planned, or Pelinka's not able to make the moves he's trying to make, or he's holding on to certain players that he shouldn't be holding on to, or a player he signs doesn't, pan out, or maybe Luka's not happy. Maybe Luka's saying, like Dave McMenamin was mentioning, you got all these other players out there that are winning championships, that are winning finals MVPs. Maybe Luka gets a little bit uneasy or impatient. I don't know how much of a lock that is for everybody, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, a lot of time in that. Let's see what we got here. Talking a little bit about tonight's game. A lot of people not all that concerned about Gabe Vincent. Pelinka won't even be here 2 more years. Walter and his boys will clean this BS up, surround Luka with the best talent available. Well, that's going to obviously be the job of the front office. That's going to be the job of ownership. So that part I don't disagree with. They try to make Luka happy. I mean, that's going to be the most important thing. And I think what's going to make Luka happy is competing for an NBA championship, having the right players around him. That obviously is going to have a lot to do with it. Okay, I want to jump into another topic here because I do think there's a little bit of, you could call it a tie-in here, because I think most people will agree with this. Tom Haberstraw, who writes for Yahoo Sports, also has a Substack. He had an article out there, and it's less to do with the actual players, but let me explain the point that he's trying to make. The first point that he's trying to make is the Lakers cannot win a championship with Austin Reaves, Luka Doncic, and LeBron James. Listen, I think it would be a much bigger shock that they won a chip with those three players than they didn't win a chip with those three players. I think the expectation is Reaves, Luka, and LeBron are not going to win an NBA championship together, which is why I think most people will make the case you got to break up Austin Reaves and Luka Doncic, or people will make the case you got to wait till after this season until LeBron is gone, so you have some more flexibility and the Lakers can get younger and find other players that match with those two guys. A lot of people will make the argument that trio, while offensively it's nice, while on paper it looks nice, at the end of the day, you have to have a well-constructed team that plays offensively, that plays defensively, that's at the right age, that understands the balance of having big men, rebounders, defenders, wing players, guys that can play both sides of the ball. That's not exactly Austin Reaves, Luka Doncic, and LeBron James. I think we could all say that. So part of his article, he's saying that they can't win a championship with those three players. We'll stick with that for a quick second. Or let me kind of keep going. He proposes a trade idea for Austin Reaves. And he says, I'll kind of read a piece of this article. What he's saying is they should make a deal with the Pelicans. But this should not be a deal for just Herb Jones. And this should not be a deal that is for Laker role players and a first-round draft pick. What he's saying is the Lakers should try to go all in with the Pelicans. And I'll give you the exact trade scenario that he's proposing. Austin Reaves, Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleber, 2031 first-round pick for Trey Murphy III and Herb Jones. What he's trying to say is, don't go out there and try and get one 3-and-D player. Don't try to go out there and get more of a role player, which is what Herb Jones is. No. Go get Trey Murphy III as well. Go grab both of those players. Have two guys that are 6'7", 6'8" wing players that can defend, that can hit threes, that can play both sides of the ball. Get rid of Austin Reaves, and then, honestly, all these other players that are out there, it doesn't really matter what else that they're giving up. He's proposing a big-time deal, a big-time trade, and don't kind of beat around the bush here. Go try to get the players that you feel like can be surrounded with Luka Doncic, and I guess I'm assuming here with LeBron James for the rest of this year. Couple things come from this, and I'm happy to get everybody's thoughts and opinion, and I'm not telling you, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I don't think the Lakers are trading Austin Reaves. And what I also don't think the Lakers are trading Austin Reaves and not getting a big-time all-star type of player back. The point that he's trying to make is they can't win a chip with those three players, and they can't really truly compete for a championship with those three players. Yet to be seen, but I understand it. I mean, if you're telling me to lean one way or the other, I'm not going to sit here and try to sell everybody that Lakers can win a chip with Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reaves. The age doesn't fit. The styles don't fit. The players don't necessarily complement each other. I think the Lakers are just kind of trying to do the best with what they've got. Do I think a blockbuster trade is going to go down where the Lakers are trading Austin Reaves during the season? I don't. But I get his point. I get his thought process, and I get the idea and the concept of wanting to go out there and get players that can play both sides of the ball. If I'm the Lakers, I'm holding on to Austin Reaves. That doesn't mean that Austin Reaves can't be available at some point or down the road or whatever the case is, but I'm holding on to Austin Reaves. What I'm not doing is I'm 100% not going the rest of this season without going to try to get defenders, 3-and-D guys around the same age as Luka Doncic and Austin Reaves, and planning and building for when LeBron is gone and while LeBron is here. I think, to me, that's the point that I get most from his article here and his Substack that he has out there. The biggest thing to me, and obviously he's talking more blockbuster because trading Austin Reaves is a blockbuster move for the Lakers. He's talking more blockbuster, and he's trying to kind of clean up as much as he can this season. I think the difficulty that the Lakers are going to have no matter what they do, you still got LeBron on the roster. And it's very difficult to plan part of it for the present, but more specifically for the future with LeBron on the roster. That's going to be a challenge. A lot of moving parts there, obviously a lot in that conversation, but it just kind of gives you an idea of what some people are proposing out there. Speaking of which, there was an article that was out there by Dan Weike, so I want to get through a couple of these. NBA scouts and executives named 2 players who can help the Lakers. So we've heard the conversation about Herb Jones. We've heard the conversation about Keon Ellis. We've heard that. The one thing that I will say in regards to both of those players, they've been rumored so much, it typically doesn't happen. And you don't know what the Sacramento Kings are going to do. You got no idea what the Pelicans are going to do. But damn, when you have players' names continuing to be repeated with trade rumors around the Lakers, those typically don't happen. So I'm just kind of throw that out there. But we've heard those names. There's some other players out there that we want to hear as well, or that are starting to get a little bit of run that could potentially be available for the Lakers, or players that people think would be a really good fit. So let me read off what he's referring to that. By the way, I read something this morning too that Keon Ellis, there's about 10 to 15 teams that have inquired about Keon Ellis. So you want to talk about driving the price up. The price is definitely going to be very, very expensive for any of those types of players. But let me read to you what Dan Weike put in his piece in The Athletic. The Lakers had internal discussions about Andrew Wiggins earlier this summer and could revisit those if they decide to sacrifice cap space next summer to improve this season. Another player worth monitoring will be the LA Clippers forward Derrick Jones Jr. He's already shown how valuable he can be next to Luka Doncic when he played together on the Dallas Mavericks. And with the Clippers' combination of losing and lack of draft assets, they'd have to listen to reasonable offers. I saw the name also being thrown out there, Terrence Mann of the Brooklyn Nets, Josh Green of the Charlotte Hornets. There's also a player for the Bulls, which I don't think is going to happen, so I'm not even going to mention it because I think he's just too valuable of a player for the Chicago Bulls. But the point I think that we're making here is you're starting to hear some other names being mentioned now. So what do a lot of these players have in common? A lot of these players are 3-and-D players. A lot of these players do have great wingspan, decent size, 6'7", 6'8", can guard multiple positions, can pick up guys full court if you need to. I think that's kind of the theme here. And it's just so obvious that that's what the Lakers are targeting. It's so obvious that the Lakers will eventually find a move that fits what we're talking about here because they don't have a choice. So kind of getting some new names mentioned, which I think is a good thing. And because we've really just been listening to the same names over and over and over again. So I think there's definitely going to be a piece of the rest of the season. Every single game that goes by, there is definitely a piece. It's like, it's just got to be a matter of time. And what they do, maybe it's a name that nobody knows. You know, we didn't hear Dorian Finney-Smith name a ton last year before he got traded to the Lakers. The way I think Pelinka will work, it's probably going to be a name that a lot of us don't know. Not that we don't know, but we weren't hearing being rumored and then eventually happens. So I think, again, Andrew Wiggins' name's been thrown around now for 6 months. Keon Ellis, Herb Jones, all these players, these names we've heard, it's going to be tough probably to get one of those guys because we've heard the names being mentioned so much. Okay, let me take a look at a couple of the comments here. Let's take a look here. There is a way to get both Wiggins and Herb Jones. You know what's going to be tough? I think the moves that we're talking about here, what's going to be tough is while LeBron is still here, do you want to make a blockbuster or do you want to wait? I find it difficult to make a blockbuster while LeBron is here. While he's taken up $52 million of your cap space. I feel like the fact that the Lakers didn't offer him a 1+1, another, 1+1, which he's obviously accustomed to. I think that signaled a lot. I think that said a lot. And I think at the same time, it's just tough to do business and plan for the future when LeBron is still here and he's got that, there isn't clarity there. Maybe there is clarity from the Lakers front office. Maybe they've already decided that's it. This is the final year that he's going to be with the Lakers. Maybe there's other ways. I had Eric Pincus on. There are ways to retain LeBron. He can take a huge pay cut, and you could still go out there and have a good offseason. But I think it's really, really tough to plan here while LeBron is still there. So we'll see what eventually happens, but you're starting to hear more and more names. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Official personal injury of Hoops Talk and, of course, the Sliwa show here. Serious injury, wrongful death case. You have no idea kind of what steps to take. Where do you go? What to do? How do you get the process started? Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. wallacewins.com/Sliwa. I love telling personal stories, some of the different clients that he's worked with. Insurance companies are always kind of, they're making sure to give you the absolute least amount as possible. They know if Brad Wallace is involved and the Wallace firm is involved, they're going to find a way to probably settle with you just because of how good his team is and how great that they operate. So wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Shout out to Brad Wallace and the Wallace firm. Been a partner now for a while. So thank you to all their help. And thank you to listeners that have reached out to me trying to get in touch with Brad. Obviously, that makes Brad feel like this is a perfect partnership. So thank you, everybody, for doing that. All right, let's read a couple of the comments. I got some NBA news I'm going to get into. Let's see what we got here. Mark Walter already sent his people in as consultant. If they sense Rob is not good, he's gone. I will tell you one thing, and this I genuinely believe. I do think that there is a world where if things are not going well, it doesn't matter how many years he has left on his contract. It doesn't matter how many years, how much money is still owed. That's the one way they can truly, truly flex their power. And I'm talking about new ownership. There's a lot of people around the league that think to themselves, yeah, the Lakers getting this new ownership, that's going to be a problem. They'll figure things out. They'll find ways. They'll be creative. They'll put the right front office there. They'll have the best scouts. Might take a little bit of time, but that's going to be kind of the expectation that they've already created for themselves. And that has nothing to do with what they've already done with the Lakers. It has more to do with what they've done with the Dodgers. They've kind of created this already. All right, let's see what else we have here. Bron is not stupid. He'll have no problem taking a pay cut next year if the Lakers trade for a real superstar player. Yeah, it's interesting. That's actually interesting right there. We'll have to wait and find out. Let's say this. Even if they don't go and trade for a real superstar player, if they just want to really improve the roster and Bron wants a chance, we're talking about year 24, right? Just can't obviously be it can't be at the same predicament or situation that the Lakers are in right now. So LeBron could potentially have that opportunity down the road if the Lakers put together a roster where he feels like, you know what, I actually got a legitimate chance to win a championship here and I don't want to go anywhere else. And oh, by the way, this is going to be my farewell tour. All that can happen. But it's really tough to think of LeBron's 24th year when we're in the middle of his 23rd year. But I appreciate the comment, brother. Thank you for chiming in on that. All right. We got a lot of couple NBA stories that I do want to get into. So we're going to spend a couple of minutes here on the NBA front. So we'll be looking at some different NBA news. And let me see here. Is it that bad boy loading? All right, there we go. There we go. I just get this on. It's a little bit in the background here, Get a little music on here in the background. Thank you for being here, by the way. Cheers to everybody here. We're already an hour in. How are we already an hour in? I'm back on tomorrow, by the way. I'm back on tonight, by the way. So, yes, it is Christmas week, but we'll still be cranking out content. So, if you come, we will be here. Not doing a show Thursday, but I'm going to record something after the post game, or I'm going to record something for a post game. Friday's still kind of up in the air. Not 100% sure yet. Okay, a couple things here real quick. Games tonight, Lakers and the Suns at 6. Guys. Knicks, Timberwolves. 6 o'clock as well. 5 or 6? No, 5 o'clock. Thunder, Spurs at 5:30. I mean, what are we doing here? By the way, where are the games on today? Oh, what a bunch of idiots. NBC Peacock, not good. They're going to air the Rockets and the Clippers. Got Thunder and Spurs today. What's the first game they're airing? NBC and Peacock. Let's see. I don't think the Lakers game is on. Do they got another game, or is that the only game that they have on? I don't think I could tell here. Might be the only game that they have on. Oh, no, they got Nuggets and the Mavericks. Oh, they screwed up twice. 2 phenomenal games. You're going to be missing both of those games. New format for tanking. The NBA, I saw this. I don't know if you guys saw this. NBA looking into new ways to prevent teams from tanking. It's a little confusing, to be honest with you. I read the whole thing this morning. Let me give just kind of a brief way that they want to do this. Limiting pick protections to either top 4 or 14 and higher, which would eliminate the problematic mid-lottery protections. No longer allowing a team to draft in the top 4 2 years in a row. And then also locking lottery positions after March 1st. I'm down for the NBA to try to, prevent tanking. Teams are still going to find a way. Every advantage a team can find out there, they're probably going to find a way. And listen, there is something about tanking. I mean, if I get it, by the way, if my incentive is I'm better off for my team long-term by losing now, then I'm going to lose now as well. But it does make for a poor product, because there are teams in the NBA that are saying to themselves, it is not in our best interest to win right now. We're incentivized to lose. So they got to continue to be very, very creative in trying to figure that out. Did you guys see Draymond Green left yesterday? Left the bench after an argument with Steve Kerr. Warriors were trailing 71-66. Back and forth between Draymond Green during a timeout with Steve Kerr. Here's what he said. We had it out a little bit. He made his decision to go back to the locker room to cool off. That's all I'm going to say about it. Everything is private. So he ended up going back during the third quarter. Green spent the final 8:31 of the third quarter in the locker room. Guys like Jimmy Butler, Al Horford, and Buddy Hield, along with a couple of front office members, went back to check on him. I don't know what to tell you here. Steve Kerr said he wasn't going to go back in. No, he left. He went back to the locker room. We moved forward, and the guys played great. They eventually went on a run and won that game. It's kind of an odd one, right? Player in the middle of the game just leaves, decides, I can't do this with my head coach. We'll go back to the locker room. I'll come back after 8 minutes of playing time. It's one thing if you went to the tunnel, you took a quick breather. Those guys, they'll get on the bike and they're warming up because they're about to check in. It's one thing to go to that area for, a minute and a half of actual time, not game time, and then come back to the locker room and say, or come back to the bench and say, all right, I'm ready to go. My bad. This guy was gone for almost a full quarter. What do? You take a shower? You eat something? You check your phone? You moving money around? That's a lot of time in the locker room. In the middle of a game. This guy just took off and left. It's like me, right in the middle of the podcast, just getting up and leaving. I leave at 8:07. I come back at 8:33. Where the hell did Sliwa go? He needed a breather. I don't know. I know Draymond's been struggling. I know the Golden State Warriors not living up to some of their own hype, certainly after trading for, trading for Jimmy Butler last year. So we'll see what happens. Draymond is an interesting individual, to say the least. Listen, he is also a champion, and he's also had an incredible amount of success in his career. So if he feels like that's the way I got to cool down, but damn, you left your team for almost 9 minutes. 9 minutes of game time. Draymond left his podcast. Left to do his podcast. No, but the guy's got content to post. That'd been pretty funny if he went live. If he went live for a few minutes, took a couple supers, and then was like, okay, I'm ready to go. All right, let's see what else we have here. All right, let's see what else we have here. Let's see what else. 50% of these comments, I don't even understand what people are talking about. All right, my people. I appreciate you guys being here. Guys, I still got some Christmas shopping to go do, so I got to get the hell out of here. I know. I get it. Christmas shopping should have ended about a month ago. When is the next member show? You guys want to do tomorrow? Want to crank one out at 7 a.m. tomorrow? Let's do tomorrow morning. We'll do tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. If you're a member, that's going to be, so we'll do this show, post-game, member, regular show. We'll crank it out tomorrow. Let's do tomorrow at 7 a.m. How about that? Thank you for being a member. Appreciate you guys being a part of the show. If you're not a member, please consider it. $3 a month. Looking forward to it. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I will see you back tonight after the Lakers take on the Phoenix Suns. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you, everybody.